Okay, today is in 22nd of July 2009, and we are on the 11th chapter of the Samyutta Nikaya, Sakka-samyutta, or the suttas that have to do with Sakka-devaraja. Now we come to 11.5. At Savatthi, the Buddha said, "Monks, once in the past, the Devas and the Asuras were arrayed for battle. Then Vipachitti, Lord of the Asuras, said to Sakka-devaraja, Lord of the Devas, let there be victory by well-spoken counsel." And Sakka replied, "Vipachitti, let there be victory by well-spoken counsel." Then monks, the Devas and Asuras appointed a panel of judges, saying, "These will ascertain what has been well spoken and badly spoken by us." Then Vipachitti, Lord of the Asuras, said to Sakka-devaraja, "Speak a verse, Lord of the Devas." And this was said, Sakka said to Vipachitti, "You, Vipachitti, being the senior Deva here, speak a verse." And this was said, Vipachitti, Lord of the Asuras, recited this verse. I'll stop here for a moment. So here, the Asuras and the Devas were arrayed, ready to fight. And then this leader of the Asuras, he suddenly had an idea. He said, "Why don't we have a fight of words? We see who can speak better." So Sakka-devaraja agreed. So now Sakka-devaraja says, "You are the elder Deva, so you speak first." And this was said, Vipachitti, Lord of the Asuras, recited this verse. "Fools would vent their anger even more if no one would keep them in check. Hence with drastic punishment, the wise man should restrain the fool." When monks, Vipachitti, Lord of the Asuras, spoke this verse, the Asuras applauded, but the Devas were silent. Then Vipachitti said to Sakka, "Speak a verse, Lord of the Devas." When this was said, Sakka-devaraja recited this verse, "I myself think this alone is the way to check the fool. When one knows one's foe is angry, one mindfully maintains one's peace." When monks, Sakka-devaraja, spoke this verse, the Devas applauded, but the Asuras were silent. Then Sakka said to Vipachitti, "Speak a verse, Vipachitti." And this was said, Vipachitti, Lord of the Asuras, recited this verse, "I see this fault, O Vasava, in practicing patient endurance. When the fool thinks of you thus, he endures me out of fear. The dolt will chase you even more, as a bull does one who flees." I'll stop here for a moment. This Vasava is another name of Sakka-devaraja. When monks, Vipachitti, Lord of the Asuras, spoke this verse, the Asuras applauded, but the Devas were silent. Then Vipachitti said to Sakka, "Speak a verse, Lord of the Devas." And this was said, Sakka-devaraja recited these verses. "Let it be whether or not he thinks, he endures me out of fear. Of goals that culminate in one's own good, none is found better than patience. When a person endowed with strength patiently endures a weakling, they call that the supreme patience. The weakling must be patient always. They call that strength no strength at all, the strength that is the strength of folly. But no one can reproach a person who is strong because guarded by Dhamma. One who repays an angry man with anger, thereby makes things worse for himself. Not repaying an angry man with anger, one wins a battle hard to win. He practices for the welfare of both, his own and the others. When knowing that his foe is angry, he mindfully maintains his peace. When he achieves the cure of both, his own and the others, the people who consider him a fool are unskilled in the Dhamma. When monks, these verses were spoken by Sakka-devaraja. The Devas applauded, but the Asuras were silent. Then the panel of judges appointed by the Devas and Asuras said this: the verses spoken by Vepachiti, Lord of the Asuras, are in the sphere of punishment and violence. Hence they entail conflict, contention and strife. But the verses spoken by Sakka-devaraja are in the sphere of non-punishment and non-violence. Hence they entail freedom from conflict, freedom from contention, and freedom from strife. Sakka, Lord of the Devas, has won the victory by well-spoken counsel. In this way, monks, Sakka-devaraja won the victory by well-spoken counsel. Stop here. That's the end of the sutta. So you see the character of these two Devarajas. The Vepachiti is more fierce, more violent type. It's quick to use violence, but the Sakka-devaraja is very patient and does not allow himself to get angry or to vent his anger. That's the nature of the Asuras. They like to fight. 11.6 at Savatthi. Monks, once in the past, the Devas and the Asuras were arrayed for battle. In that battle, the Asuras won, and the Devas were defeated. In defeat, the Devas withdrew towards the north, while the Asuras pursued them. Then Sakka, Lord of the Devas, addressed his charioteer Matali in verse: avoid, O Matali, with your chariot pole, the bird nests in the silk cotton woods. Let's surrender our lives to the Asuras, rather than make these birds nestless. Yes, your lordship, Matali the charioteer replied, and he turned back the chariot with its team of 1,000 thoroughbreds. Stop here for a moment. So here Sakka-devaraja was in his chariot going full speed, being chased by the Asuras. But he saw ahead of him the bird nest on the trees. So he was afraid if they keep flying through the air like this, they may injure the bird nest and maybe kill the young birds. So he told his driver Matali, the Deva Matali, to turn the 1,000 white horses around to avoid the bird nest. Then monks, it occurred to the Asuras, now Sakka's chariot with its team of 1,000 thoroughbreds has turned back. The Devas will engage in battle with the Asuras for a second time. Stricken by fear, they entered the city of the Asuras. In this way, monks, Sakka-devaraja won a victory by means of righteousness itself. It's the end of the sutta. So here, when Sakka-devaraja's chariot turned back, made a U-turn, then the Asuras assume that there must be a lot of Devas behind. That's why he is coming back to fight again. So they got frightened and they ran off back to their city. So here Sakka-devaraja won because of righteousness. 11.9 at Savatthi. Monks, once in the past, a number of seers who were virtuous and of good character had settled down in leaf huts in a tract of forest. One moment, these seers are ascetics. I think the Sanskrit word is rishis, rishi. In Thailand they call rishi. Then Sakka-devaraja and Vepachiti, Lord of the Asuras, approached those seers. Vepachiti, Lord of the Asuras, put on his boots, bound his sword on tightly, and with a parasol borne aloft, entered the hermitage through the main gate. Then having turned his left side towards them, he walked past those seers who were virtuous and of good character. But Sakka-devaraja took off his boots, handed over his sword to others, lowered his parasol, his umbrella, and entered the hermitage through an ordinary gate or a small gate. Then he stood on the lee side, raising his joint hands in reverential salutation, paying homage to those seers who were virtuous and of good character. Let's stop here for a moment. So you see, this Sakka-devaraja and this Vepaciti, sometimes they fight with each other, but sometimes they are friends. Because Sakka-devaraja has many wives, and one of his favorite wives is, I think, Sujampati, and that is the daughter of Vepaciti, the lord of the Asuras. So actually Vepaciti is the father-in-law of Sakka-devaraja. So in this sutta, they went together to see these ascetics in the forest. And Vepaciti wearing his boots and with his sword and his umbrella high up, he walked through the main gate, quite proud, and with his left side towards them. In his left side towards them shows not paying respect, because in the Indian tradition and probably in the Deva tradition, if you respect somebody, your right side must always face that person. But here he turned his left side towards them and walked past them. On the other hand, Sakka-devaraja took off his boots out of respect, and even his sword he handed over to a lesser Deva, and then lowered his umbrella and entered the hermitage through a small gate. Then he stood on the lee side, on the lower side of the wind, the lower side of the wind, so that the wind goes first to the ascetics and then to him, out of respect. Then monks, those seers address Sakka in verse. The odor of the seers, long bound by their vows, emitted from their bodies, goes with the wind. Turn away from here, thousand-eyed God, for the seer's odor is foul, Devaraja. And Sakka-devaraja said, let the odor of the seers, long bound by their vows, emitted from their bodies, go with the wind. We yearn for this odor, venerable sirs. As for a garland of flowers on the head, the Devas do not perceive it as repulsive. That's the end of the sutta. So here, the seers understood that this Sakka-devaraja was standing on the lee side. In other words, when the wind blows, the smell of the ascetics, the human smell will go to this Devaraja. So they know that the human smell is very repulsive, very smelly to the Devas. And so they asked him to not to stand there, but he told them that he respects them so much that he yearns for the smell, just like a garland of flowers on the head. So you see the character of Sakka-devaraja is very different from the Asura king. 11.11 at Savatthi. Monks, in the past, when Sakka-devaraja was a human being, he adopted and undertook 7 vows, by the undertaking of which he achieved the status of Sakka. What were the 7 vows? 1. As long as I live, may I support my parents. 2. As long as I live, may I respect the family elders. Number 3. As long as I live, may I speak gently. Number 4. As long as I live, may I not speak divisively. Number 5. As long as I live, may I dwell at home with a mind devoid of the stain of stinginess, freely generous, open-handed, delighting in relinquishment, devoted to charity, delighting in giving and sharing. Number 6. As long as I live, may I speak the truth. 7. As long as I live, may I be free from anger, and if anger should arise in me, may I dispel it quickly. In the past, monks, when Sakka-devaraja was a human being, he adopted and undertook these 7 vows, by the undertaking of which he achieved the status of Sakka. When a person supports his parents and respects the family elders, when his speech is gentle and courteous, and he refrains from divisive words, when he strives to remove meanness, is truthful and vanquishes anger, the Tavatimsa Devas call him truly a superior person. That's the end of the sutta. So here you see the formula is given to you on how to become a Deva Raja. So you aspire to be a Deva Raja, making vows is no use. You have to follow this formula. Support parents. Number 2, respect the elders. Number 3, speak gently. Number 4, not speak divisively. That means don't speak words that divide people. Like for example, if you hear A talking bad about B, you don't go and tell B, last night A said this and that, and then you cause A and B to quarrel. That is divisive speech. So you should speak in such a way as to make people unite and be in harmony. Then number 5, he is very generous, devoted to charity. Number 6, he only speaks the truth. Number 7, is always does not allow himself to be angry. This is very difficult for most people not to be angry unless you have a very calm mind from meditation. Unless you have a very tranquil mind from that meditation, it's very difficult to suppress anger. So these are the 7 good qualities to practice. Even if you can't practice all of it, you can practice a few. Hopefully you can become a Deva or a Devi from there. 11.12 At Savatthi in Jeta's Grove. There the Blessed One said to the monks, Monks, in the past, when Sakka-Devaraja was a human being, he was a Brahmin youth named Magha. Therefore, he is now called Maghava. Monks, in the past, when Sakka-Devaraja was a human being, he gave gifts in city after city. Therefore, he is called Purindada, the urban giver. Monks, in the past, when Sakka-Devaraja was a human being, he gave gifts considerately. Therefore, he is called Sakka. Monks, in the past, when Sakka-Devaraja was a human being, he gave a rest house. Therefore, he is called Vassava. Monks, Sakka-Devaraja thinks of 1,000 matters in a moment. Therefore, he is called Sahasaka, 1,000-eyed. You can also take it to mean that he has the psychic ability to see 1,000 places in a moment. Monks, Sakka's wife is the Asura maiden named Suja. Therefore, he is called Sujampati, Suja's husband. Monks, Sakka-Devaraja exercises supreme sovereignty and rulership over the Tavatimsa Devas. Therefore, he is called Lord of the Devas, Devaraja. Monks, in the past when Sakka-Devaraja was a human being, he adopted and undertook 7 vows, by the undertaking of which he achieved the status of Sakka. And these 7 vows are as I read just now. As long as I live, may I support my parents. As long as I live, may I respect the family elders. As long as I live, may I speak gently. As long as I live, may I not speak divisively. As long as I live, may I dwell at home with a mind devoid of the stain of stinginess, freely generous, open-handed, delighting in relinquishment, etc. Number 6, as long as I live, may I speak the truth. Number 7, as long as I live, may I be free from anger. And if anger should arise in me, may I dispel it quickly. So here we get to know why the Sakka-Devaraja has these various names. 11.14 On one occasion, the Blessed One was dwelling at Rajagaha in the bamboo grove, the squirrel sanctuary. There the Blessed One addressed the monks thus, "Monks, Venerable Sir," those monks replied. The Blessed One said this, "Monks, once in the past, in this same Rajagaha, there was a poor man, a pauper and indigent. He undertook faith, virtue, learning, generosity, and wisdom in the Dhamma, Vinaya, proclaimed by the Tathagata. Having done so, with the breakup of the body after death, he was reborn in a good destination, in a heavenly world, in the company of the Tavatimsa Devas, where he outshone the other Devas in regard to beauty and glory." Thereupon the Tavatimsa Devas found fault with this, grumbled and complained about it, saying, "It is wonderful indeed, sir. It is amazing indeed, sir. For formerly, when this young Deva was a human being, he was a poor man, a pauper, and indigent. Yet with the breakup of the body after death, he has been reborn in a good destination, in a heavenly world, in the company of the Tavatimsa Devas, where he outshines the other Devas in regard to beauty and glory." Then monks, Sakka-Devaraja addressed the Tavatimsa Devas thus, "Dear sirs, do not find fault with this young Deva. Formerly, when this young Deva was a human being, he undertook faith, virtue, learning, generosity and wisdom in the Dhamma Vinaya proclaimed by the Tathagata. Having done so, with the breakup of the body after death, he has been reborn in a good destination, in a heavenly world, in the company of the Tavatimsa Devas, where he outshines the other Devas in regard to beauty and glory." Then monks, instructing the Tavatimsa Devas, Sakka-Devaraja on that occasion recited these verses. "When one has faith in the Tathagata, unshakable and well established, and good conduct built on virtue, dear to the noble ones and praise. When one has confidence in the Sangha, and one's view is straightened out, they say that one isn't poor, one's life is not lived in vain. Therefore the person of intelligence, remembering the Buddha's teaching, should be devoted to faith and virtue, to confidence and vision of the Dhamma." That's the end of the sutta. So here, you see, in this case, this man was very, very poor. But after passing away, he went up to Tavatimsa heaven and outshone the other Devas. So they thought, how can this be? So Sakka-Devaraja said, don't envy him. When he was a human being, he had faith, virtue, learning, generosity and wisdom in the Dhamma Vinaya. Also, he says, Sakka-Devaraja in the last verses, he says, when one has faith in the Tathagata and the Buddha, unshakable and well established. If one has unshakable faith in the Tathagata, that means one is already an Arya. And good conduct built on virtue dear to the noble ones. An Arya has virtue, has Aryan virtue. And then one has confidence in the Sangha, and one's view is straightened out. That means one has right view. If one has right view, one is already has entered the stream, or is a Sotapanna. So, you see, when a person understands the Dhamma, has attained right view, then your blessings are very great. That's why this follower of the Buddha, he outshone the other Devas. So it's very good to get right view. Once you get right view, you become an Arya, and will never fall into the woeful plains again. You are either only born as a Deva or Devi, or a human being, and you have so much blessings. You go to heaven also, you outshine the Devas. You come to the human plane also, you will have a lot of luck. You have a lot of great fortune compared with other humans.